to today's team. So, first of all, let us talk about the Pink Lady. Now, her fans have been waiting to see if she's actually going to attend Alex's wedding. You guys know that it was revealed that herself and Amber Rose were invited to this wedding. So when she took to Twitter to tweet this, people kind of assumed that, well, that must mean that she is not in attendance. So this is what she tweeted. She said, "Congratulations to my dear friend Alex and his beautiful wife Carolina on getting married today. May the Lord strengthen your union more and more with every passing day. May you always be the best of friends. May love, joy, peace, and success be your portion forever." And, people were kind of saying, oh, it means we're not going to get a new look because she's tweeting. If she had attended, she wouldn't have tweeted that. And also the fact that Amber Rose had posted a couple of pictures. And in those pictures, she hadn't, posted anything with Nicki Minaj. People sort of just assumed that she wasn't in attendance. However, a couple of minutes ago, she decided to drop some pictures on her Twitter. And when I tell you that she looks elegant, she looks classy, she looks beautiful, I'm not exaggerating, okay? She was stunning in this gold number. Everything was just golden. I will have to say that. It seems like she's coming through with them looks. And she also said, new pause, who this, okay? Together with that, on her TikTok, she also posted a video of herself and her husband. And yeah, of course, the Barbs are excited. The Barbs are happy. They feel like finally the rollout is starting for this album. So let me know in the comment section, you guys, what do you think about this look? What do you think about her stepping out? It seems like she is more comfortable in other spaces than the entertainment industry. Because one thing about it is that in the past years, she wasn't really caring to attend events like this, okay? And I guess it's because she hasn't been feeling safe, in those spaces. Anyway, still speaking about Nicki Minaj, let's talk about T.S. Madison. There is a thin line between love and hate. Now I'm beginning to understand that, because tell me how somebody you once called a friend will literally jump at any opportunity to try and shade you. I understand people having different political views. I understand people not agreeing on things. I understand friends falling out. But I do feel like if you once looked at someone as your friend, there's somewhere where you have to draw the line. When T.S. Madison initially spoke up against Nicki Minaj, I thought, okay, maybe it's an issue where, she felt like she was cornered. And as far as the music industry is concerned and her community is concerned, I felt like maybe she felt like she had to do that so that people will not say that she's a hypocrite. But going an extra mile to quote a man who's literally saying F this woman is weird to me. It's very corny. She went on a Facebook and she said F her. And that's just tacky, in my own opinion. You can fall out with someone. You don't have to be going the extra mile to do this. Is this hunger for attention? Is this hunger for approval? I really don't know what that is, especially for a woman who has publicly defended you countless times. Uh, and deep down, we all know that, even her speaking up against Nicki Minaj was just, it was from twisted words where they try to make it seem like she's T-phobic and stuff like that, which is actually not true. Yeah, people get weird. People become weird really when you cut communication and ties, and we've seen this being a pattern for most of the people that do fall out with her. But I also do feel like one of the reasons why her friends or her ex-friends act this way is she strikes me as somebody who, once you cross her, she's not going to be confronting you and pointing fingers in your faces and stuff like that. She's just going to remove herself from your situation. And I feel like a lot of people who snake others often feel entitled to an explanation like, oh, I'm not going to be friends with you because you did this and that, so that they can then justify themselves. So I feel like she doesn't give them the opportunity to do that. She just removes herself from a situation. And that seems to not sit well with a lot of people, as they feel like they deserve explanation, they deserve closure, even when it comes to someone realizing that, they have been doing snaky stuff. So I don't know. It's that hunger for closure, or that hunger for a chance to explain themselves, turns into obsession. They now want to get her attention at any cost because it's not even necessary. Even people who have never been friends with Nicki Minaj, they're not even doing the most as T.S. Madison is doing. So, ew. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Let us talk about Harvey, okay? So it seems like Harvey from TMZ, his name might also have made a cameo on the Epstein, files. And, people are beginning to say, is this the reason why he's been so defensive and protective of other people that made their way, onto the list? Because it is to note that aside from Trump and Elon, TMZ hasn't really written any other article about the Epstein files. And the funny thing is that before, these files were released, TMZ was one of the publications that were very vocal about, covering the Epstein, files and all of those things. They were waiting, they were eagerly waiting. And, because you do know that Elon had previously said that, well, Trump is on that list. So they were so excited and super excited to cover it. A lot of people actually have kind of been expectant of the list, but I bet they didn't expect their favorites to also be there, and they didn't think their names were going to make it there. But lately I've kind of been clocking that Harvey kind of does look a little bit unease. He's not at ease at all. He's like there's something there with him. It's like, someone who's just scared of something. Something has kind of been fishy, especially that day when Nicki Minaj was calling him out. And remember, Nicki also mentioned, TMZ, your time is up, blah, 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 blah. Something has been amiss in his demeanor. And now I'm beginning to think that, oh, maybe this is the reason. And allegedly, there is more to come actually in as far as those files are concerned. Now, people have kind of been taking Lauren LaRosa, asking her if she was going to cover the story. And some people have kind of been predicting how the Breakfast Club and the Joe Biden podcast were going to cover this and all of these things. And it seems like Lying Lauren decided to basically come through with her vision of covering the story. And it's exactly as people expected. It's not a breaking news. This person has been mentioned in the files. No, it's not like that, which is normally how, these media platforms cover news when it comes to people they don't like. They will write the headline, and sometimes they won't even bother to do a follow-up, dissecting and looking at the facts. They will just drop a headline and they will just mislead people with that headline. But I've kind of been realizing that that's not been the tactic, that's not been the strategy when it comes to the title swindler, which makes me question, do you think that this is fair what these people are doing? Regardless of who you like and who you don't like, can you at least acknowledge that there is a difference in which the media is covering this story? Do you at least admit that when it's the media's least favorite person, it's covered as, sensational news, sensational headlines, and when it's somebody else that they like, they don't even break the news or write the headlines like that. It's always an explanation, which is what Lauren did. I wish I could read this, but it's basically a write-up of her debunking the files and saying, well, reasonable doubt, all of a sudden, it's written as if she's in court. And I'm like, since when, Lauren, did you start doing stuff like this? We don't see you dissecting Kenneth Petty's situation like this. You go with the narratives. You run with, unverified facts. So what is this? Oh, this why we thought you didn't care about the facts? We're shocked to realize that you guys actually do care about the facts. But in all this, do not be fooled. God cannot be mocked. That's all I'm going to say. If, anytime you feel like you're too mighty and you can just ish on people and do whatever you want to do, just remember, do not be fooled. God cannot be mocked because your day will come. Trust me, it will. But anyway, moving on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about, let us talk about no, actually, I've been meaning to talk about this. This happened a couple of days ago. The housewife, it seems like her home, got swatted. And for those of you who do not know, she had a couple of things to also say about Nicki Minaj. She's one of the people that have been throwing shade at Nicki Minaj. And to see this happening to her is obviously sad. But some babs obviously are saying, look, whenever you're out there being vowed and jumping on a bandwagon to dogpile another human being, that karma does not play, because the same people that were mocking Nicki Minaj about the swatting, that were shading her, where are they? They are the same people right now also are having the same thing happen to them. And people are kind of saying like, so for this, are we supposed to sympathize? And I do feel like the unfairness of what happens is really what strips people, the other people, from a sense of humanity. Because sometimes it can be hard to sympathize when you're well aware that these people, if the roles were reversed, that wouldn't have been the reaction. But anyway, let me know in the comment section what you think about that. Now, moving on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Let us talk about 50 Cent. It seems like 50 is out there having a time as expected. I mean, he does not like Brother Billionaire at all. And it seems like he's already excited to be working on a documentary about the entire happenings of the files. He posted something about this. Let me try and see if I can find what he said. So he posted a picture of Jay, and it's a painting of somebody that does look like the title swindler. And he said, damn, they got your man Jay in those files. I gotta do a documentary on this ish. And then, of course, he posted another picture of somebody that does resemble the title swindler. And I saw academics saying that, well, 50 Cent has to take down a post because allegedly the title swindler was now sending or is already sending, documents to people who are covering this. At this point, I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. Academics saying is saying that, well, allegedly lawsuits are already flying in the air, which would be very interesting because I mean, if people can discuss about the presence of, the president of the United States of America in those files, what makes him think that he's beyond criticism or he's beyond being mentioned, or who is he suing exactly? The DOJ or what? I mean, really. Could this be the reason why the Shade Room took down their post? Did they receive a phone call about a lawsuit? Or in their case, was it a situation of compensation? But given the mention of TMZ and how allegedly they had the power to soften the blow in as far as covering certain things, it's a sick game. It's a sick game. That's all I can say. And some of the things that are written in those files, one would need therapy after reading them because they do get ridiculous. They do get very disturbing. If there's more to that, I fear what's coming. If whatever that still has to be released is as graphic as this. No, it's unimaginable what's in those files. But anyway, let me know in the comment section, you guys, what you think about this. Moving on to the next thing that I wanted to talk about. Actually, I wanted to cover this about 2 days ago. It seems like Cash and and the ex-boyfriend Zadarius, the man is turning into a yet another tea Tracy, you guys, because I mean, tell me why this person went into his comment section and basically commented, "Bye, we followed you because of Cash." Now, first of all, I'm gonna say that that was very unnecessary for the person to go in that man's comment section and just comment that unprovoked. That was highly unnecessary. However, on Zadarius's part, he didn't have to respond. Okay, he could have ignored, and he responded and said something like, "Bye." Or like, don't let the door hit you on your way out, or something like that, which obviously had people feeling some type of way, as they felt like him saying that is him being disrespectful to Cash Doll. I don't think that he was being disrespectful to Cash Doll, but I do feel like he could have handled it better. He could have just ignored it. Do you think that is a bitter ex, or do you think that is just somebody who doesn't want people messing on his with him on his posts? Let me know, you guys, in the comment section, what you think about that. And also, in general, do you think that when you become exes with somebody, you have to automatically become enemies, or do you think that you can still be cordial? And if you decide to remain cordial, do you think there's any need for you to be reacting or responding to subliminals like that, or like just creating mess around it? Is it worth it, really? But anyway, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Oh, still speaking about the defense team of the files, it seems like we already know the stance of the Joe Biden podcasters, because already they are making excuses. Like I said, they all of a sudden, all of them have turned into investigative journalists. But when it comes to other people, they will flat out tell you, we don't care about that. The headline says this. Ice from the Joe Biden podcast is already making his stance known. He said, everybody jokes and says I do not read, but when I finally do read, I comprehend. What I comprehended is that the Jay Z and Pusha T situation is fishy. The timeline doesn't make sense, but hey, I am slow. So basically, his argument. So it seems like on the Joe Biden podcast, they're gonna be learning into the, oh, he wasn't that popular, and I'm like, you don't have to be popular or you don't have to be rich to hang with billionaires. Reminds me of that kid that was hanging around the Drakes and all these rappers, YK something. Remember that kid? And you remember how they would clown him and stuff like that. So you don't really have to be rich to hang around successful people or rich people. If anything, they can help you. They can help catapult you into success. Unless you're telling me that by that time these men mentioned were underage, I mean, I would understand. But as long as they were of age and as long as they had some form of motion, and when you actually look at everything that was going on the island and everything that this man was known for, and what some of your favorite rappers used to do back in the day or used to sell, is it far-fetched to say that, well, you know, by virtue of what they were peddling, they could have linked up? Is that far-fetched? Or your investigative, journalism tactics or prowess doesn't allow you to think that far? I don't know, you guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think about these people continuously defending this man. Do you think that there ever is going to be a time when people actually do hold each other accountable, regardless of who they like? And some of you have been crazy in the comment section saying to me, "I'm not holding Nicki Minaj accountable for selling out and betraying her people." Who exactly are Nicki Minaj's people, if I may ask? And I'm calling her out for doing what exactly? For donating to accounts that are meant to help children that are being born in, like, I need to understand. For donations. What am I holding her accountable for exactly? For choosing a political party that aligns with her own values? So I have to call her out and dictate to her who she has to support. Has she done anything unfair right now, unjust? No, if she has done anything unjust in as far as that is concerned, yeah. If she has endorsed that what ICE is doing is good, if she comes out and says ICE should continue doing what they're doing, then we can address that. Other than that, I don't know